Hello and welcome to Trust Your Glitter podcast. This is Christy. I am here with the astrology for July the 2nd through the 7th. I'm excited that we are entering a new month, and I'm also excited for this week's astrology because it's going to bring us a new moon. So I want to discuss some of the energy of the week. We are in a very important week ahead, and we are kind of facing, so we just started our Saturn retrograde on June 29th. I also did not note that on June 29th, Lilith also entered the sign of Libra. And going from Virgo to Libra, Lilith is kind of that independent feminist energy. And so even with Saturn retrograde, we also have this forward-thinking energy of Lilith in an air sign, a cognitive sign, that sort of cerebral energy that is balancing out things that we've learned and also doesn't want to deal with any BS anymore. So Lilith, the feminist asteroid, is also kind of stepping in and speaking truth to power. So note that as Saturn's going retrograde. And I need to state that because this is the energy of women, and there is going to be kind of this divide between like the old way of thinking for feminism and sort of a new take on history. This is also like women's rights and the legality. In the US, the Supreme Court just did some massacres, and last week we had a presidential debate that very much reflects the energy of this week, and I just want to talk about how I'll get into that on my TikToks. I do want to at least speak to this upcoming new moon. Really just some upfront. July 2nd, we have Neptune going into retrograde. So Neptune will be retrograde from July 2nd to December 7th. And this is in the sign of Pisces. So this is a transit that reflects back even for us to the times when, I want to say, let's look at floods, bridges, barges, and I know we're going into hurricane season. This is water energy. And because Saturn is retrograde in Pisces and Neptune, which is Pisces' home planet, and so Pisces is Jupiter and Neptune. This is taking energy. I know that retrograde is backwards. That's the best way I can describe it right now. It's kind of reviewing emotional energy and the oceans and even ocean temperatures, tides, anything related to water sources. And I do think that we're in preparation, Neptune being in the sign of Pisces at the anaretic degree, which is 29 degrees, that like very, very potent point of Pisces, where we're shown like this is the apex energy in many ways, or this is the pinnacle, is so to speak, energy of Pisces. We're also preparing to see what Neptune in Aries is going to bring us when it comes to warm waters, because Aries is Martian ruled, Mars, and we're kind of being shown a lot of things going on with water. So I think between July 2nd and December 7th, we're going to be shown a lot of kind of moving back to move forward type energy regarding our oceans, lakes, water sources. I want to watch the news stories for, just any odd weather. Neptune retrograde on that scale for us will show us a lot. And in the positive, this is spiritual review. We're having spiritual review in the form of purpose with Saturn retrograde. We're having spiritual review with Neptune retrograde. And yes, it can kind of feel like you're lost at sea in your mind. It's very Seven of Cups in the tarot energy, a lot of choices being shown, a lot of illusions being kind of reviewed. And that gets into the US for a lot of people because Neptune is also very 12th house. So I want to talk about that a little bit as well. And I also want to say, on the same day, we have Mercury enter the sign of Leo. With Mercury entering Leo, we're going to have this influence of this opposition between Pluto, the great transformer, who is also retrograde, and our mind. So there's a lot of deep sea diving going on this week, and also reviewing what we are able to express and what is being uncovered. And I really think that this is a very beautiful week because we've been doing a lot of this manifestation work behind the scenes. So if you are in any self-care work, this is a really good week to speak that truth to the universe, because we're being shown certain things in the big political scale, but in our personal life, how it's reflecting is how do we express this deep soul, I want to say this deep soul calling, this deep soul need. And with these outer planets in retrograde, this is, I would say, a couple of different things. On the lunar level, we're in Cancer season, ruled by the moon. So we have a new moon in Cancer at 14 degrees on the 5th of July. We've been working with these nice, beautiful lunar patterns where the last new moon that we had in Gemini had a Venusian energy to it. Now, Venus has moved forward and past the point of the sun, but we had this lesson of a desire. And so for those who manifest and are working on your personal growth, this is like a time where these are retrogrades, but say you're being faced with a test. And I'm just thinking about this in terms of Saturn and in terms of Pluto, where an unhealthy boundary has presented itself to you, or an unhealthy situation, or even kind of one of those where the toxicity has taken place with Pluto. We're going to have Pluto opposite Mercury, mind, voice, expression. And maybe in the past, you showed up in one way. And now with this new moon in Cancer, there's a lot of maturity here. And we're also in between two Capricorn full moons. So this new moon is a very special one because she holds a lot of power, and that's the power of the goddess in the form of the mother. So it's really like, I've been doing mother wound work for the last year. I've been reading any source that I can about the mother wound, and I felt really called to talk about it today because that might just be what this manifestation is. The old way could show itself, that old shell, but you can throw that shell into the ocean and say, you know what, I want the tides to bring back something more clear and more beautiful. And that ocean is Neptune retrograde, Saturn retrograde. And new moons, you don't generally want to, I don't usually say throw things away. There's certain new moons where I do. This one is a witnessing one. In my just view of this chart, I think we are in witness to our dream. The new moon is square the north and south node. The north node being in our self-autonomy, our self-authority, this sovereign direction of Aries, and the south node energy of Libra. Now, Lilith is not conjunct the south node, but Lilith has entered the door of Libra saying, hey, I'm calling to the node right here. So you better kind of review the old ways of establishing relationships and connections and communications and contractual agreements. And contractual agreements can also be those relationships we continue to get into, those patterns. The north and south node in a 90-degree angle to this sun and moon alignment in Cancer is quite profound. And this is where I think that, yes, this week I think there's going to be, I'm just going to put it to the sky, a manifestation happening for people who have really been doing this work. At least a key to that manifestation, a key to saying, hey, you've been really putting your whole self into this. The new moon is saying, thank you, gratitude. So if you do any new moon work, your gratitude, like if you're doing like an altar or some kind of manifestation ritual, it's deeply personal to you because it's your connection to your maternal heart. So whatever you need to do to really honor your body, honor yourself, honor your protective comforts, honor your security, honor what house, what home you came from, and what home you're creating for yourself and those you love, your protected loved ones. That's what this new moon really, really wants us to just appreciate and know that somewhere in the universe, we really did come here with a giant purpose. I think the fact that Mercury and Pluto are opposite one another during this cycle is, you can't unsee the past. You can't hold their pain anymore. I just feel really called to say that. But what you can do is really give yourself a pat on the back for surpassing that. So that's another piece of this beautiful energy that I want to talk about. And we're going to be in a season right now between this new moon and the next new moon. This is contemplative, deep, and self-reflective. So just know that maybe you might not be able to connect to everybody that you need to right now, because some people are on their own journey and path, but you will eventually. So if it's almost like, because I'm feeling like with the Cancer energy, a lot of it might have to do with trying to reach out to people or people reaching out to you. If you're feeling more closed off to that, that's also part of the vibe. So there's no shame in needing space. There's no shame in needing to take time and be in quiet energy for yourself, because ultimately our home or our personal space is a really important place to be. The other piece of this is Mars is sextile to Saturn, so it's also kind of the energy of needing to rest. And with Venus in Cancer square Chiron in Aries, this energy can also, I'm going to keep saying mother wound, feminine wound, feminist wound, internalized patriarchy type stuff. So be really gentle with yourself this week. Cancer wants their comforts. Cancer wants their safe space, their crawl space, you know? And I hope that, I just wanted to do like a quick check-in, and I hope you have an amazing week ahead. I will be on social media. You can find me on Rumble. I am on Patreon. I am on Substack. I am on TikTok, Instagram, X, everywhere you can find me, YouTube. Belich, Trust Your Glitter. Thank you. Have an amazing week.